Daniel's 70th week prophecy, Part 2. Could 2014 be the beginning of the 70th week? How, when, and what? How will it happen? When will it happen? And what will occur during? Daniel's 70th week prophecy, Part 2, contains 3 chapters. In Chapter 1, we'll discuss the issue of signs. In Chapter 2, something else is up. In Chapter 3, the rabbinical prophecy of 1217 AD, and also a Part 2 review and the appendices. Welcome to Chapter 1, the issue of signs. After a brief introduction and acknowledgments, we'll discuss the issue of signs, and something is up, and the mystery of Chanukah and the 70th week prophecy. This is Part 2 of my study on the 70th week of Daniel. And if you saw Part 1, you know that I'm really trying to present a high-level view of the how, what, and when of the 70th week of Daniel. And this study comprises many personal hours of study from men of God who have spent countless years studying and preaching about end-time events and what they see God revealing to us so that we can prepare ourselves and warn others of soon-to-occur events before it catches them unawares. I will provide links and reading suggestions throughout for those who want to dive deeper into a particular topic to fill in any gaps. Now, this is not meant to be an exhaustive presentation. In this particular study, I really want to pique your interest and to get you looking heavenward. As in the first part, I approach this as a learner. I know that some of these things may not happen exactly as I espouse here. I'm only trying to lay out the most logically consistent arguments possible, gleaned from many different sources. So buckle up, because here we go. First, I'd like to acknowledge a few folks. These men have been true Bereans, seeking out the Word of God and studying the signs of the times, and their published works have provided me with many insights that I will try to distill here. And though I might not agree with all of their conclusions, I have gleaned so much from them, and I believe God has used them to help peel back the onion, so to speak, to reveal His end-time prophetic truth. Please take time to look up these people and the resources they provide. Pastor Marvin Rosenthal, Robert Van Kampen, Joel Rosenberg, Joel Richardson, Dr. Gavin Finley, Sir Robert Anderson, E.W. Bullinger, Rabbi Jonathan Kahn, Walid Shoibat, and others too many to mention here. The issue of signs. Biblically, the Lord has used various signs to indicate He was about to act in our temporal world. For instance, in Daniel 9:25, Daniel is told that Israel would be allotted 70 times 7 years, or 490 years, to, quote, finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place, unquote. But it would not be signless. It would be, as stated in Daniel 9:26, that we should know and understand this, from the time the word goes out to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, comes. The sign is the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. And God has used other signs periodically to indicate that He was about to do something. The Star of Bethlehem is a perfect example that heralded the birth of the Messiah. He also caused darkness to cover the land in some cases, and the sun stood still in another instance. He even used a walking stick with a snake on top to be a sign of His presence for the troops of Israel during a particular battle. If the beginning of the 70 weeks prophecy was to begin with a specific verifiable sign, specifically the decree to rebuild Jerusalem, could there possibly be a sign or signs that may precede Daniel's 70th week? Well, immediately one can say yes. We are to look for someone who will arise to sign a 7-year peace treaty with Israel. We are to also watch for a beast empire to arise that will at first have 10 kings or countries, but then another king will arise to overthrow 3 of them to make up the final 8-nation beast empire. See Daniel 7:19 through 25 and Revelation 13:1 through 7. Well, this particular king will be the one to sign the 7-year peace treaty with Israel. So there are geopolitical signs that we are to watch for in the coming days and years. The recent uprisings in the Middle East make one pause to think that maybe the revived Islamic Caliphate is on the rise. Could this be the beast empire we are to look for that precedes the 70th week? More on this later in Part 3 in my study regarding what must happen before the 70th week can begin, and what will happen during the 70th week. But could there be other signs that may signal to those who may have their eyes heavenward, that could indicate that this particular time is the one we should be watching for? In Genesis 1:14 it states, "And God said, Let there be lights in the vault of the sky, to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years, and let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth." This section of my study will be more about asking questions and wondering out loud about some interesting cosmic events that will occur in the next few years that, in my opinion, are beyond coincidental. Hopefully, it will garner some interest and added discussion within the church and within your family and circle of friends. Have you ever read something that made you just pause and exclaim, "Huh, that's weird"? I had one of those days not long ago. In fact, I wasn't even looking for it at the time. I was reading articles about the near miss we were going to have with the asteroid that was passing to within just 17,000 miles from Earth that February 2013. Suddenly, I came upon an article about the two comets that will be whizzing by the Earth this year. One, in March 2013, will be visible at sunset. Is it a coincidence that it comes on the same day that the Second Jewish Temple was completed over 2,400 years ago? I'm not sure. However, there is the other one that will be visible during the daytime. In fact, it is known as the Comet of the Century. Well, this century is pretty young still, so this caught my interest. On November 28, 2013, the comet of the century, Comet ISON, is going to appear. This is a new comet to our solar system that is expected to be particularly bright, enough to be able to see it with the naked eye during the day. Here is a brief article from the Christian Post in December 2012. Comet coming in 2013 may be brightest in generations. A recently discovered comet is scheduled to come very close to the Sun late next year and may get very bright, enough to outshine the full moon. Comet ISON could be the brightest comet seen in many generations, brighter even than the full moon, British astronomer David Whitehouse said in The Independent. But while astronomers are hoping for that awesome view of a bright comet, they say it's uncertain whether it will even survive as it nears the Sun on November 28, 2013. The mystery of Hanukkah 2013. Hanukkah 2013 occurs especially early in 2013 on November 28th. And this just happens to coincide with the American Thanksgiving holiday, America's only true Christian holiday. And this is the first time in U.S. history these two holidays have come together, and they will not do so again for over 77,000 years. Really, it's due to the shifting of the Hebrew calendar. And just a note about typical Jewish terms. A Jubilee cycle, or period, equals a cycle of 7 times 7 years, or 49 years. The 50th year is the actual Jubilee year, and it is the first year of the next Jubilee cycle. A sabbatical year equals 7 years. And could a Hanukkah year equal 8 years? I haven't heard of this before. Could Comet ISON, arriving on November 28, 2013, be a sign of God effectively lighting the candle on the final Hanukkah year of 8 years until the Messiah lights the candles for the dedication of the millennial temple? I know you're skeptical. How could I just jump to a conclusion that this comet of the century, oddly named ISON, could be a sign from God? Actually, the name of ISON is an acronym for the Russian institute that discovered the comet a few years ago. And I have been doing this study on the Daniel 70th week for a couple years now, so this isn't out of the blue. I just initially thought it was weird that this particular comet would just happen to arrive in our solar system and make its grand appearance on November 28th, 2013, which would just happen to be the only time in U.S. history that Hanukkah and Thanksgiving would be on the same day. And I was praying about this one day and asking the Lord if it may be significant, when I suddenly blurted out to my wife, "Isn't it interesting that Daniel's 70th week fits neatly in between Hanukkah of this year and the Messianic Hanukkah of 2021? And then I stopped myself and I said, where did that come from? And it just seemed to click. And it was not until I did my spreadsheet analysis for part 1 of this study that I moved from, that's weird, to I am blown away. So let's review this slide from part 1 of my study. If you recall, it is 1260 days from Passover to the defeat of the Antichrist at Armageddon. And it is 2520 days from the beginning of the week to Yom Kippur and 2595 days to Hanukkah. God didn't make this very easy to figure out, but let's start with Passover at the middle of the week and focus on the second half of the week first, and then come up with a possible day 1 of the 70th week of Daniel. So Passover, the middle of the week, is on March 31st, 2018. Yom Kippur, 3.5 years after that, is on September 16th, 2021, and that's day 2520. And Hanukkah is on November 29th, 2021, and that's day 2595. So let's take our 1260 days to the defeat of the Antichrist and see where that takes us. That takes us to September 10th, 2021, and this is the possible day of the defeat of the Antichrist. But note, it is a bit shy of our 2520 days, so we need to add 6 days to get us to 2520. Then we add our 75 days to get us to Hanukkah, 2595 days. But note, the second half of the week is 6 days over our 1260 days to get us to Yom Kippur. So the first half must be shorter by 6 days, or only 1254 days to the beginning, or day 1 of the week. So let's take our 1254 days to see where our possible day 1 shows up. Day 1 of the 70th week of Daniel appears on October 23rd, 2014, as the possible day of the signing of the 7-year peace treaty just after the Feast of Tabernacles and the High Holy Days of 2014. And note that the Feast of Tabernacles ends on October 17th. So let's test my theory of this Hanukkah year of 8 years and Daniel's 70th week. Is Comet ISON a sign? Well, maybe. So if we begin on November 28th, 2013, let's see where that takes us. If you recall from part 1 of my presentation on the 70th week of Daniel, the dedication of the Millennial Temple will occur on November 29th, 2021. But the first candle on the menorah is lit on November 28th, 2021. It is exactly 8 years from November 28th, 2013 to November 28th, 2021. Now if we put our key dates for Daniel's 70th week in, beginning on October 23rd, 2014, and ending on Yom Kippur, September 16th, 2021, which is day 2520, and we add our 75 days, that takes us exactly to November 29th, 2021. So the theory works. Thank you for watching Chapter 1. Please continue on to Chapter 2 for more of Part 2 of my study on Daniel's 70th week prophecy. In Chapter 2, we will discuss something else is up.